Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I have come up with the sequel of my last video wherein I had told you that I will be using JavaScript application which uses MongoDB database. So let's go and see hands-on demo with the help of Docker how it is done. So stay tuned with me. So let us understand the workflow with Docker, how Docker works. So let's say you are developing a JavaScript application which uses MongoDB as database. So instead of installing MongoDB in your local computer, you pull the image of MongoDB from Docker Hub. Alright, and after that you start developing your JavaScript application. So after some time, let's say you have your first version ready for deployment so that your tester in your team can test your software. So you commit it in Git, which is a version control system, and that will trigger a continuous integration at Jenkins build. So Jenkins build will produce an artifact of JavaScript application. It will produce a Docker image and push this image in a Docker repository. This repository could be a private or public, but since it's a private company, let's say anybody who is developing it in a private company will have to keep it private because you don't want others to see what you are doing. So you keep this Docker image in your private repository, and then you have a development server that will pull the image from private repository, and also it will pull MongoDB database from the Docker Hub. So you have two containers running on the development server over here. In order to make both of them communicate with each other, you have to configure them while deploying it. So this is the simplified version of Docker flow in real life application, guys. And now we will see how it is done in actual way. So we have one JavaScript application and Node.js application to simulate the local development process, and then we will connect it to a database called MongoDB with the help of Docker container. I already have this JavaScript application along with me with basic HTML structure. So in order to integrate all these in database, we are gonna use the Docker container of MongoDB database as well. We are also going to deploy the user interface of MongoDB, which is mongo-express, to see all the updates in our database. So without any delay, let's start hands-on demo. Let's go to first Docker Hub website, and this is Docker Hub website, and you type Mongo and you press enter. This is the official image of Mongo. So what you have to do, just click it and you can see the official image over here. Then you just copy this command, or you can write the command also in terminal. So before that, I want to show you first you have to run the Docker. So your Docker should be running. So I had run my Docker from here. After that, I'll just search for Docker images. So if you enter it, you see there is no image over here. So now what I'll do, I'll pull the MongoDB image in my Docker. So I'll just simply paste the command and put enter. You see, if you don't specify the version over here, then it will pull the latest version of the image which is available in this. If you specify the version, it will download the specific version for you. So it is downloading. These are the layers which are getting downloaded. So every time you download different version, so it might be there that some of the layers are already available, so that it will not download that layer. It will only download the layers which are not available in your local machines. So in that way it will just pull it. So it will take couple of minutes, around 1 or 2 minutes it will take, and then this will be completed. Alright guys, so my MongoDB image has been downloaded. Now the second thing, you have to write mongo-express and you type it mongo-express. This is UI for MongoDB. So same thing you can do, either copy the command or just write it docker pull mongo-express. So it will again pull the latest image of mongo-express. Alright guys, so this is also downloaded. Now if you just clear it, so if I write docker images, then you see the two images are the mongo-express and mongodb. So guys, now what I have to do, I have to do the connection between the mongo and the mongo-express. So when two containers are deployed in the same network, they can communicate with each other just by name. And Node.js application which we have is going to connect using the local host and port number. All right, so Docker by default provides network. So if I say Docker network ls, it will show me the network which is available over here. You see bridge, host, none, like that. So these are the name of the network and these are the network IDs. Okay, so they are auto generated networks over here. So now we will create network for MongoDB and mongo-express and call it that network as mongo-network, so that with the help of that network we will start the container. And once we specify the network name to the container, it can communicate with each other just by name. So let's start. So I'll write docker network create network. So network name, which I have told you that we will keep it as mongo network. So I'll write the name of network as mongo network. Okay, so when I enter it, I'm sorry, spelling mistake. So docker network create mongo network. So this is created now guys. All right, so when I do now docker network ls, it will show me mongo network which we have created for our mongodb and mongo-express. All right guys, now to run both the mongo and mongo-express in the same container, same network, what we have to do, before starting container we have to specify the network name. So we will start the container by giving a network name. I have already copied the command which is there. So guys, here I'll tell you what this command says. So this command says that docker run -d, that is run the container in detach mode and bind it to the port number 27017 to the local host. That means this 27017 is the by default port of MongoDB and it is binding at the same port on the local host also. And then you are defining the environment variables, which is mongo init username and password, so that you can log into the system later on. So you are defining the root username as admin and again root password as password only, and then name you are putting it as mongodb and the network you are defining it as mongo network. Okay, so this thing you can find out using the documentation guys. So if you go to the documentation of Mongo, you see this. So when you come over here, I'll show you. Yeah, this one is the default port of MongoDB which we had defined over there, and then the environment the environmental variables which we had defined. So I'll show you the environmental variables. Yeah, this one, the other environmental variables, this you have to define it. So you can go into the documentation and read what it is all about. I'm not going into detail. So here you can see the MongoDB environmental variables is -c. -c is for environmental variables, and then it is defining the root username as mongo and root password as something. So you can change the password as per your convenience, but only thing is that you should not forget it. All right guys, then Same thing he has done with the network also, which we had written in the code. So you can see here. Alright, so we will copy this command. I'll give it in description. The most important thing over here is you understand what it is actually doing instead of copying it. Okay, so this is the command which we had set. So I'll just, and now it has created me a container. This is the container. So if I copy this container and I write it docker logs and this container, you see, I'll just zoom it. So it has started me a container. So it is saying, you see, waiting until server is ready for connections. Okay, this part. Okay, I'll just clear it. So guys, in similar fashion we will run the container of mongo-express also. So same thing, docker run the container in detach mode, and for mongo-express we have the default port as 8081 and we are opening it on the same localhost at 8081. So binding it with the 8081 for docker for mongo-express. And environmental variables over here is same admin username as admin and config password as password. And you can go to the documentation and you can see, if you go to the documentation of mongo-express, you just type mongo-express, and when you go to documentation you can see over here. So you can read this 8081 is the default port for this, and configuration, what all environmental variables you have to do, you have to pass, that you can see it from here. Alright guys, so moving on and copying the command from here, Control C, and pasting it in our terminal, and it will open this container. So this container is now, both are configured. So just Control C and you write docker logs, name of the container. You see, allow to open connections from anyone. So mongo-express server listening at http 0008081. So now we have to connect node.js with database. So write docker ps, see name of the container, this is container id, the image, the mongo-express, then same this another container is mongodb, which is opening at 227,017.8, and this one opening at 8081. So these are the two containers we have. So guys, if I go to my local host and I'll just open my browser. So if I go to my local host and open the port number 8081, I should be getting the mongo-express localhost. Okay, this one is localhost, and I have to write the 127.0.0.1, and port number for mongo-express is 8081. So I'll just keep it, and you can see the mongo-express. This is the UI of MongoDB. So this is mongo-express database admin config. You can do the configuration parts, and you can see all the files which are there, all the data entries which will be there, that can be viewed over here. So I'll just go back. This is the admin view, config local, and these are the Mongo UI which we can see over here. So now guys, what we will do, we will go with the JavaScript application. We will open that, and then we will see what we can do with the JavaScript. This is the default configuration which is coming with this database. So I'll create my database as mydb, let's say. I'll create it. So this is my database. Now whatever data I'll enter, first I have to run the Node.js server, and in that application which will be running in my local, whatever data I'll feed, that will be shown over here under the user sections. So go to your terminal. So guys, now you have to run the Node.js application. So for that you just type cd space and you go to your folder and copy the folder. Once you copy the folder, you come to your terminal and paste the folder over here. So this will open the directory of a folder in which your Node.js is available. Now what you have to do, you will just write npm install the command, and then you have to write node server. So this will open a server in your local which will be listening at port 3000. So if you go to your browser and you write over here as localhost 3000, localhost 3000, so it will open you, localhost 3000. So it will open your application which is available in that folder. So like, see, you name Avinash bit2, email ID is avinash.bit2@example.com, interests coding. So now when you edit this profile, what will happen? You can, let's say you write Gaurav and then you write, let's say Gaurav dot fx at example.com, and interest is coding or sleeping, right? And when you update it, it will update the details in your database. Alright guys, so and one more thing, if you refresh it, it will again come to the default mode. So in this way, this application is being used, which is using a JavaScript application, Node.js application, and the data which is filled by the user is getting stored in the database over here in your MyDB, this MyDB which we had created. So this data will come over here, all the users data will be collected and it can be viewed from this place. Alright guys, so yeah, that's all guys. This was hands-on demo on Docker, wherein I used a JavaScript application to feed the data which will be stored in my database MongoDB. We also deployed the mongo-express UI user interface, which is a UI for MongoDB, and we also saw that how we can connect both MongoDB and mongo-express using Docker. So alright guys, if you want to know or if you want specific video on some other topic, do let me know in comment section and I'll make it for your convenience. So that's all guys, see you, good night, I'm signing off.